Welcome back to the Game Club Pod, guys. We are here once again to do what is probably going to be a very, very, very long recording. And I'm going to say up front, this episode is going to involve massive spoilers for Baldur's Gate 3. I know. We're finally getting round to it. Finally, we're getting round to it. We only finished the stream 3 months ago.
Something like that.
Something like that.
At the time of recording.
At the time of recording, as always, I'm joined by the lovely Tim.
Hello.
The not-so-bad Joey.
Wagwan brethren.
By choice or otherwise, got a fourth joining us. I don't think she wants to be here, but here it is, Paine.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you want to be here, Paine?
I do want to be here.
There you go then, Alex. Stop putting us down.
I did wonder what he was going to say when he introduced me, to be honest.
Well, I thought of it on the spot. It didn't... Obviously, we wanted to have you here because it didn't make sense to have the four of us do the stream together and then only us three dickheads on the episode. And to be honest, people might enjoy a bit of a break from our voice.
Maybe.
I hope that's not the case, Alex, because, they do tune into this podcast.
That's all right. Well, Paine can take over and get some new hosts.
You make this joke far too much for me to be comfortable with.
I just need to get you off the throne, that's all.
Throne of lies.
We are going to start this episode the same way we always start these episodes. It is safe to say, guys, Baldur's Gate 3 has universally been quite well received. What's a widely loved game that you just don't get on with? Big thing for that one. I've got my answer already, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
And I've completely forgotten what it's called. Undertale. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. Everyone and people treat it like it's the best game that's ever been made, and it's not.
It's a good game. I really liked Undertale.
Yeah.
I think that did you play it when it first came out or much later, like me, Alex?
Probably much later on.
I think the thing is, it was quite influential in its way that it told a story, and everyone and their dog copied it. Alex hates my opinion so much that he's actually got up to leave the room.
I got up to open the window because it's very warm in here.
Yeah, I think everyone and their dog tried to copy the format of Undertale, and it got very old very quickly. But if you go into it with the kind of fresh eyes, I think it's a pretty good game. Can I throw mine in there, Tim?
Yeah, of course.
The Witcher. Don't get it. I feel like I should love the Witcher series because it's bosses and it's cool mythological stuff.
It's old-timey fantasy game.
Too much reading. It's all reading,
which you famously can't do.
Well, I can't do it, but I don't play video games to read. I play games to game. It's like I was going to say something that would really offend some of our really good friends. It's like Mass Effect. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, Dan. I think I would get on with Mass Effect now. When I have the time to give it a good go, I will give it a good go. But my previous impressions of it is just reading. Do a Dark Souls. Just throw me in and let me die a million times and work it out myself. I don't need to read.
Yeah.
The only words you want to read are jump here.
No, it's you died.
Try finger butthole.
Exactly.
If we're talking in terms of just gameplay, for me it's Mortal Kombat. I love watching Mortal Kombat. I love the lore and the story of Mortal Kombat. I kind of hate playing Mortal Kombat.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Tim, the fighting game guy, hates a fighting game.
My brain turns to mush and I can't do anything with it. I don't know what to do. It's just NetherRealm games because I have the exact same problem with Injustice, but no other fighting game. Just the NetherRealm stuff.
But does it not have a similar sort of control schemes to things like Soul Calibur?
No. The only way that it's similar is that it uses what's referred to as a dialer combo system, which Tekken uses, and I get on really well with Tekken. But I know Mortal Kombat, my brain just goes to straight grey matter and nothing comes out.
Paine, in a day, how many times does Tim mention a fighting game or a different type of fighting game in a normal day?
I would say at least 5 times a minute.
5 times a minute. That's impressive.
You're
I just sleep dreaming of fighting games.
When you said, Alex, is it not similar to Soul Calibur? I thought, oh god, don't send him down this rabbit hole.
What kind of words did you open?
Yeah, no, I realised that as the words came out of my mouth, I was there going, no, come back.
What have I done? Paine, what about you?
I'm actually a little bit hesitant to tell you because I think I'm going to upset at least 2 of you, particularly Tim, given his tattoos. I really don't get on with Souls-like games. I don't. He's left the call.
Joey left the call.
I don't understand why you want to play such punishing gameplay. I don't understand. It feels like I play games to relax. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I'm with Paine on this.
It's good. It's gratification. It's improvement.
We're gonna get Alex playing like a Paine. I'm very glad you're here for Baldur's Gate. If I could, I would get you one of thanks. I hate it to play a Souls-like game.
I would have such a bad time with it.
I don't believe that's true.
By proxy, Tim would also have a bad time with me playing it because I'd be so angry.
I'll set you up on Bloodborne. It'll be fine.
You won't
Alex
enjoy
doesn't
it.
have a choice, so get ready for that one, Alex.
I mean, I do have a choice. I could just say I'm not doing it.
We'll terminate.
I'm a free man.
We'll terminate your contract. That's what happened to the last one.
You have a contract?
When did I get a contract?
I held your arm and signed it while you were asleep.
I would have cut out that comment that Joey made.
You can make a joke. We're not on bad blood with Slade. It doesn't matter, does it?
We've only got bad.
Look, if I was to say the truth and say he's a massive cunt, then yeah, you might want to cut it.
Alex, leave that in.
Or leave it in.
Please cut that, because I genuinely do.
Oh, it's coming back to the fanatics. I'm giving Alex editing directions.
Is that what you wanted to hear when you started this episode, Alex? It's like the fanatic.
The thing is, it's not just the editing directions. You're now giving me actual editing work on a very long episode with a... How tight is the turnaround?
You're all right.
Oh, Jesus wept. It's 2 weeks.
You got a couple of weeks.
It's fine.
Oh.
Don't worry about it.
Tim
Just
turned
don't
around
have another
the,
life outside of this.
Yeah, Tim turned around the Two Blokes episode in like 2 days, and that was 2 hours long.
You're
That was
fine.
literally as long as it could be.
Yeah, but the most editing that got done to that was Tim sped it up 10%.
There was more than that. There was more. Not much more, but there was more.
Convincing.
Yeah, really convincing.
I will send a screenshot of the file. Let's talk about Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, shall we move on to the actual episode?
Yeah.
Cool. I've got a new intro for us.
Shrimpus calls the stormy skies with wrathful waves and thunderous cries. Clerics light, the tempest waves, a heart that fights, a soul unchained. Geordie Bell moves swift as night, her daggers flash, her aim is tight, in shadows deep, her secrets gleam, an arcane rogue with a deadly dream. Troubled souls with paths entwined, bound by fate, the stars aligned, through storms and stealth, through dark and flame, legends rise, and so their names. Pointy boy with fiendish grin, deals with devils, thrives in sin, with smoky pacts and fires bite, his magic burns the endless night. Sloth the ranger, beasts obey, with bowstrings taut, they lead the fray. A woodland guide with feral roar, their spirits wild forevermore.
You know, for all the effort that Alex has put into this episode, it's going to be really awkward if one of us gives it like a 3 or something.
I swear, if anyone gives it less than a 10, you'll be getting stabbed.
That was good. That was good.
Wow,
That was our resident musician, Suno.
a full-on threat.
Find him on Spotify.
one of the problems I had when I was making that song on Suno was Joey's character name Srump sounds very much like Trump on it. Like, just a little bit too close.
You should have ADR'd it yourself.
He's the best character.
You should have ADR'd it yourself, so you just go Shrump.
Anyway, we are not here to talk about the current political climate. We're here to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 with a equally awkward political climate. Baldur's Gate 3, in case anyone's not aware of what Baldur's Gate 3 is, it's a 2023 role-playing game developed by a very talented studio called Larian Studios. Their previous work has been entirely in the Divinity series. They did one game before that in, I think it was 97 or something like that, and then it's been nothing but Divinity since, and then Baldur's Gate 3. It takes place primarily on the Sword Coast of Western Faerun, but you do visit other locations. The game is heavily story-driven, where the decisions you make will have a huge impact on how the story plays out. A lot of games claim that they do that, but this one really does that. It uses a lot of D&D's combat mechanics, but it's not like for like. So if you've never played D&D in the past, you're fine going into this. And much in the same way, if you are someone like me who's played a lot of D&D, you're not going to be bored because it's different enough. Very quickly gonna run through scores because there is nothing you're not going to expect here. Metacritic has it at 96% on PC and PS5 and 99% on Xbox S and X. I don't know why. I don't know why the Xbox has a higher score, but here we are.
Superior console.
It must be, yeah. We played on the Xbox and it was perfect, apart from the lift. Every single
and see what the reaction's like, Alex.
Every single publication that has reviewed this game has given it, on their own scale of whatever it might be, something akin to a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, whether that's 5 stars or... There was one publication that I saw that gave it a score out of 40. I don't know why, but here we are.
Weird.
On its release date, it had 537,000 concurrent players, which after 2 weeks was up to 875,000, so not far off 1 million. According to one of the developers, in its first year alone, it has sold, quote, way over 10 million copies. So nice. Some could say it's a popular game. The last little bit that I'm going to go through about this is the awards, because it cleaned up. This is the first game that has ever won every game of the year at all 5 major video game awards ceremonies. So that is the Golden Joysticks, the Game Awards, the DICE Awards, and then 2 I've never heard of, the Game Developers Choice Awards and the British Academy Game Awards. So yeah, Game of the Year, all 5 of them in the same year, never done before. And in total, from what I saw on Wikipedia and my ability to count, it has won 42 major awards.
That's pretty good.
That's a hell of a trophy cabinet they're going to have. Before we go on to the story points, let's get a quick... I want just 30 seconds of your overall feel of the game, and we're going to start with Paine.
Oh god, why would you start with me? Somebody else to go and give me an idea what to say. I loved it. Is that enough?
I'll do it, yeah. I mean, it's better than the ramblings that usually happen. Speaking of rambling, Joey.
I knew that. It's so undertones of such aggression in this podcast since Alex has joined. So this game, I remember when me and Tim both bought it. We were on holiday at the time. We were camping and had no access to our PCs, and we were watching videos about Baldur's Gate and thought, oh, we've really got to try that. So with no access to the game, both Tim and I went on the Steam app and bought Baldur's Gate.
I didn't. Paine went on my PC and bought the game, and I thought my account had been compromised.
It was supposed to be a surprise.
If anyone could compromise my PC by buying games, that would be wonderful. Thank you. But yeah, I remember when it first got released and all of the stuff that you see, and it was really exciting. And I tried it, and I tried it by myself, and I didn't get it. Like I don't play D&D unless it's in Podmas and not done very well. Sorry, not by the DM. That was by my understanding of not doing it very well. Sorry, Alex. I realised that was quite offensive.
You're quite all right.
No, the Podmas D&D was done very well both times, but my understanding of what I was meant to do was minimal. But it became something that I really spent the whole week looking forward to doing, and like thinking about Baldur's Gate the entire week and where we got to, and the absolutely enormous amount of story that we covered in a single playthrough. A single streaming session, about 3 or 4 hours, and the kind of enormous journey that we had ahead of us as well. I really, really, really got invested, and I think your point about people who don't understand D&D is a valid one, Alex. But I think if you're going to play it by yourself, you are at a much more advantageous position if you have a good level of understanding of D&D. Because I've even tried to go back and play it since we did our playthrough, and I found it quite hard to do by myself again, with a much better understanding than I had the first time. My overall thought on the game is like really good, really positive, mega memorable. One of my favorite games I think I've ever played. When I was in a party of 4, this party of 4. So that's my review.
Obviously, if you've got an understanding of D&D, you're going to pick up this game a lot easier. But I do think even if it's a case of if you just have an understanding of turn-based fantasy combat, things like the Divinity series or Gloomhaven, things like that, even if you've got that level of understanding, you're gonna kind of understand that there is an action economy and things like that. Tim?
I mean, for Baldur's Gate, let me preface by saying I've played a lot of D&D in the past. I've DM'd, I've been in parties. I love D&D. This very much scratches a D&D itch that I don't often get to scratch anymore. This was fun. It was incredibly well thought out, and I suppose I say incredibly well thought out. It's the guys at Larian Studio were basically just like, what if we put D&D in a digital format and then, shape the story around that? And it works wonderfully. The game is super, you can get super invested in it. Great story, amazing characters. It's one of these games where it has a class system of if you can dream it, you can do it, with a bit of work. So we'll probably end up talking about our classes later, but my character basically became the funny AoE denial machine, along with Eldritch Blast to push people into the funny AoE denial. And working with this party of Alex, Joey, and Paine, and us coming up with our individual strategies, and us going into rooms being like, right, I need someone over there, and someone's like, oh, I'm being kicked in by an acid creature or whatever. It's like, I'll go and help, and it creates a lot of memorable combat scenarios. It creates a lot of memorable dialogue situations. It creates a lot of memorable quests and puzzles, and it's just fucking good. It's just really, really good. I've tried to play this before single player, and to be honest, I think I stopped before because I was a little intimidated by the game in terms of like, oh my god, there's so much to do. Now that I know where the beginning and the end is, I think I'm going to be a lot more comfortable going into it. Brief Steam corner. It runs well on the Steam Deck, aside from Act 3. And I know that Act 3 is going to come up in this discussion.
Yeah.
But the Steam Deck does not like Act 3. But Act 1 and 2 gets on just fine with. And I actually showed this to Paine when I was playing a bit of single player. the controller controls for this game are super well thought out. It's just a series of radial menus, but they all make sense. Like they very much ran the risk of getting lost in menus, akin to something like, as much as I love Monster Hunter, their menus can be a little bit clunky sometimes.
Yeah.
This all makes sense.
And do you think that's the case on the console version as well?
Yes.
Nice.
So the version of the controls on the Steam Deck is the same as the one on consoles. Works out great.
Nice.
Those are my initial thoughts.
I think to touch on something Tim said about the amount of work and effort that's gone into this to make a story that works. Tim and I, having both DM'd games in the past, will understand that you can write as much story and give as much direction to your players as you want. Your players aren't necessarily going to do that. They're going to do whatever the hell they want. And I think Larian, when they've been doing this, building Baldur's Gate 3, have gone in with that understanding because they don't railroad you into things. You've got 3 very clearly defined acts, but you can just kind of go wherever in those acts. As long as you have the means of getting there and surviving, you can do whatever you want, which is obviously open world games exist, MMOs exist where you can do whatever you want, but even then there is a degree of railroading and ring fencing to them. But Baldur's Gate 3 just kind of did away with all that and went, we know everyone's going to dick around and do what they want, so let them.
So my favorite thing about D&D, and by extension Baldur's Gate, is you can present the player or the party with a problem, and the number of options that you have to solve that problem just seems absolutely endless. So it can come down to, let's say, my party includes a tiefling, a human, an elf, and a dwarf, and we have 3 bards and a barbarian in our party for whatever reason. And one of the barbarians has a pretty good charisma stat, not the best, but it can also all come down to a dice roll. It's just the stats are there to help modify that dice roll, and your classes and your characters' races and the traits and the perks and the equipment you pick up along the way all aid in the problem solving. Alternatively, if you were thinking like I was during this game, you could just Eldritch Blast them as a problem, as a bit of a problem solver. But that's a very valid solution to these things, and I love that.
And it loves you. Alex, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I loved this game. Obviously, I'm a big D&D fan. When I saw that this project was in development, I was very excited because it's 2 things in gaming that I get on well with really, really well, which is D&D and turn-based combat stuff. So yeah, I was super excited when I heard about it, and then I had a similar situation of when I was playing it single player. I never finished it in single player. I got to Act 3, and then I think something else came along. It'll have been Helldivers, yeah. Came along and took my attention, and then it kind of suffers a little bit from, you go away from it for 3 months, you come back into your save, and you're there going, what the hell was I doing? Where was I? Kind of thing.
You know that Gandalf meme of, I have no recollection of this place.
Especially when you get to Act 3, because there is just so much in Act 3. But, yeah, great game. Loved it. I want us to play it again when Patch 8 comes out with all the new subclasses. But that's a big old...
It's all the same story, right?
Same story,
yeah, it's all...
new classes and crossplay.
Could we mod stories in?
I think there are modern stories.
There might be, yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Something to look at. Don't come out for a while yet.
You don't necessarily even have to mod in new stories, because even the story that we've played, you're not guaranteed to have the same experience because of the way the dice rolls are. Yeah. Even just walking into a scene, if one person walks in, they'll have a different dialogue choice for the race they're on. So it lends itself to be, played multiple times and always have a different experience.
I'm still gonna fucking punt the squirrel though.
Oh, totally.
And if we could have a playthrough where we don't murder hobo our way through the entire thing, that'd be wonderful, because we killed a lot. We had a lot of blood on our hands at the end of that. Right. I'm going to run through the story very quickly, and I'm going to preface this with this is not an exhaustive list of the story. This is going to be key points of the main story. We spent 80 hours in our playthrough, and we did not do everything in that game. So this run through of story is going to take me maybe a couple of minutes, but that is not indicative to the story at all. So
we did murder everyone along the way.
We did murder pretty much everyone. There might have been the odd person that survived, but there wasn't many. So, Act 1. We start on a mind flayer ship that's being, after being infected by a mind flayer tadpole put directly into our eyeball. We fight our way through the mind flayer ship and cause it to crash on the Sword Coast. We caused it to crash. We pulled the trigger on that crash. You make your way to the Emerald Grove, where you learn about the Druids who are protecting it and Tiefling refugees. These two factions do not get along very well. The Druids don't want the Tieflings there, but the Tieflings can't leave because of a goblin camp nearby that basically, if they go out, they will die to these goblins. You can either side with the goblins and destroy the grove, or destroy the goblins and side with the Tieflings and or the Druids. So right there, you've got 3 different paths you can take in Act 1 in the first 5 hours. You've got 3 major diverging stories there, because what you do there will affect the rest of the game. It will affect who you have as companions, who is available, what is available, who you meet later down the line.
Even race relations in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, the next major plot point is getting out of Act 1. You have 2 paths you can take. You can travel through the Underdark, which is an underground location full of weird colonies, strange ancient temples, and a lot of monsters that will kick your shit in. Or you can go overground through the mountains and find a Githyanki creche in an abandoned temple. You can also do both of these things. As long as you don't progress to Act 2, you can go back and do both of them, which is what we did. Act 2. Act 2 is a bit of a weird one, because it kind of, to me, and I've heard this echoed quite a bit, it kind of feels a bit like a filler act. It sets up some pretty major plot points, but other than that, it's a bit sort of... Compared to Act 1 and 3, there's not a whole lot to it. But you travel to the Shadow Curse lands surrounding Moonrise Towers. You learn about the Shadow Curse as well as the Cult of the Absolute, who are these devout cultists to a new mysterious god called the Absolute. You also learn in this act that the Absolute is in fact not a god, and is a rebellious elder brain known as the Nether Brain, controlled by 3 powerful Chosen. These Chosen serve the Dead 3, which in D&D are 3 gods. They are Baal, Bane, and Merkel, who are the gods of murder, tyranny, and death, respectively. So, probably not the nicest guys in the world. During Act 2, you will be faced with a boss fight against General Ketheric Thorn, who is the leader of Moonrise Tower and one of these Chosen controlling the Netherbrain. He is the Chosen of the god of death, Merkel, and you kill him, and then you have to fight an avatar of Merkel, which is a big bony boy out of a hole, and that is probably your first real boss fight, I would say, because you have little boss fights in Act 1, but this was the first big sort of, oh shit, we all died, we need to think about this. You then also discover that under Moonrise Tower there is an Illithid colony, where General Ketheric tries to escape to, but you kill him. When you get to the end of Act 2, you can cleanse the Shadow Curse land, which we didn't because we murder hoboed everything. And then you continue to the city of Baldur's Gate. which is where Act 3 takes place. Act 3 is busy. There is a lot to do in Act 3, and as we've mentioned, or as Tim's alluded to a little bit, PCs and consoles don't behave very well in Act 3. It might be better now, but you're likely going to see frame drops and some bugs because there's just so much in there. But you arrive in the city and it's in absolute chaos between the corruption, refugees, doppelgangers that are taking the form of everyday citizens, and cultists. There's plenty to do and there's plenty to kill. We meet at this point the other two chosen, who are Orin, who is a Orin, who is a transforming assassin, and the chosen of Baal, the god of murder, as well as Gortash, the chosen of Paine, god of tyranny. These two have taken over the city, with Gortash acting as a de facto leader, and Orin's kind of his blade in the dark that kills anyone who tries to get in their way. But the relationship between them two is rocky at best. Eventually, you kill both of them. You take the Netherstones. These Netherstones are required to create the Crown of Crassus, the key to controlling the Netherbrain. And then the very last thing that happens in this game is the city goes to absolute shit because the Netherbrain is released. And it basically you get three choices here. You either give in to the Netherbrain, you kill the Netherbrain, or you get taken over by the Cult of the Absolute. As I say, very, very, very whistle stop. Does not do justice to the amount of story that is in this game. But if we were to go through everything in the game, we would be here for 3 or 4 weeks.
As we were when we streamed it.
As I said, yeah. We spent 78 hours. I'm looking at my notes. We actually spent 78 hours streaming.
On one save?
On one save, and
we didn't see everything.
I would say we probably did 2/3?
2/3 of the game, and that's with the options that we had available to us as well. If we'd picked different classes and races and stats and equipment, we would have other options available to us.
Which is, yeah, like I was saying before, this game is very choice driven. Everything matters to the point of my character, I had a soldier's background, and I would get different dialogue options to someone like Paine, who had a charlatan's background. It's everything, every decision matters, which starts to sound quite overwhelming when you look at it, but just you play what you want to play and the story will take you there.
Yeah.
Right. On account of how big this game is and how much discussion we could have on this, I'm structuring it a little differently now. So we're going to do a bit of a sort of roundtable interview style. I'm going to ask you some questions, and we'll just discuss it in as civilized a manner as the 4 of us can manage. Sound good? Have we all got our civil hats on?
No.
Never.
Fuck you.
Never.
Right, bitches. So, first things first, let's talk about our characters. Joey.
Oh, I don't know. My guy was someone who I made at the start when Alex said you might want to try a ranger. I think that means I was I a ranger? I can't remember.
I think you were originally a fighter.
I was a ranger, and then I changed to something else. Can't remember what it was. Oh, I changed to a sorcerer, wizard, and didn't enjoy it because I thought I could have unlimited spells and I couldn't.
No, you found out about the spell book.
Yeah, so I went back to the ranger. My character was called Trump, based on a viewer suggestion. May have even been Frosty. I think it was someone you played D&D with, Alex. Can't quite remember.
Probably Frosty, yeah.
What do you want to know? I mean, I like to smash things with my hammer and take long walks on the beach.
Do Did you have a hammer? I thought you had a sword.
I have no idea. I had a multitude of. I had any weapon that was shiny and in front of me for most
And not
of it.
nailed down.
Basically, I played like a rogue, is what I've been told.
Yes. Yeah, you did.
But it doesn't mean a lot to me, so.
And you're smiling. Go on.
Well, I was the rogue, and I very often couldn't get around to do any roguing because while I was, I don't know, unlocking a chest or something, Joey had cleared the entire room before I got there.
Yeah,
but he didn't have your lock picking skills though, because
No, he didn't.
I went back briefly onto the game, onto our save to do the thumbnail for this, and obviously that involved messing around with your characters, and I saw that Paine's base edition for lockpicking was a plus 15. There wasn't much you couldn't get into.
Rogues, baby.
Bearing in mind, like, prison doors tend to have about a 20 that you need to hit.
You'd needed a 5. That'd be it.
Yeah.
well done,
Easy.
Paine.
Thanks.
Tim?
Yeah, I was Pointy Boy, the Tiefling Warlock. I was an Asmodeus Tiefling. With I was a fiendish Warlock. So I specialized a lot in the in area denial, and my favorite things to do were to build up my charisma stat because a lot of my my spells relied on charisma for damage. In particular, my favorite spell, Eldritch Blast, which just becomes a fucking railgun, and I can charge it multiple times per turn, and I get it for free. I really enjoyed my time as a warlock. It was great being like, oh, okay, I'm going to just summon a skeleton to fight with me, and I'm going to go and stand in this corner, and I'm going to put a lane of fire down this doorway so anyone who even thinks about trying to leave just gets burnt to a crisp. And then if anyone tries to get around the fire, I'm just going to pull them into the fire with other magic. It was great.
What was the skeleton called?
That was Sheldon Cooper. Anytime he didn't attack, it was Bazingered.
That's the fun thing with warlocks. So wizards get access to so many spells. Like, I think practically every arcane spell in the game a wizard can learn. Warlocks don't get access to many spells, but that is substituted by the railgun that is Eldritch Blast, because part of the warlock build is you get Eldritch Invocations, which give you things you can add to your Eldritch Blast to make it more blasty.
Well, like I had things like necrotic damage on it, which also scaled with my charisma, which was wild. I had no idea necrotic damage did that. But then on top of that as well, each Eldritch Blast, by the time I'd got to, was it level 12 is our level cap in this game?
Yeah.
By the time I'd reached that point, I had necrotic damage, which scaled with charisma, psychic damage that scaled with my weapons and equipment, and I was firing 3 Eldritch Blasts per turn at a target of my choosing, so long as I could see them. It was like being a magic sniper. It was great.
It was great.
We played this game for more than 3 full days of our lives, and I still have no idea what you just said, Tim.
Look at thing disappear very quickly is all you need to know about it.
Yes.
Because it had pushback as well, so I could just send people into cliffs and holes and whatever. It was great.
I did see a review before we played this that said the greatest weapon in Baldur's Gate is a hole.
Yeah, about right. It will insta-kill anything. Oh my god, that is the other thing I want to talk about at some point during this discussion. At least maybe once or twice per session, I got fucked up by getting shoved into any hole and crevice and cliff. Like, at some point, every act or every other stream, we'd get into a fight and be like, oh, Tim's dead. So, oh, great.
Yeah, he's in a hole again.
Yeah.
Cry
Alex, what about your class?
I was a Storm Tempest cleric. I had a lot of no you buttons. one of the best abilities I had was a passive ability where if someone attacked me, I could click a button as a reaction and send them flying with thunder damage. I also, by the time we got to the end of the game, had a 25 AC and base, and somewhere in the realms of 150 health, which meant I was pretty much untouchable. Until the final boss fights, where I nearly died multiple times.
There was a point, though, in Act 2, I think it was, maybe even Act 1, where you had some sort of perk where it was if the enemy's roll was like, if their damage roll was lower than your AC, regardless if like it was a successful hit or not, you would just take no damage or you'd evade. I can't remember what that exact perk was.
I can't remember, but when I'm playing RPGs and MMOs especially, I quite like playing tanky characters that can just take an absolute hit. It is so much fun to me to have some big boss in front of me trying to hit me and me just going, nah, go away. Thank you, bye-bye.
In
that exact voice. And then by the end, I could also summon genies.
Oh, that was true.
And angels and cambions. It was great.
Good
times.
Your character.
There were fights that you absolutely carried us through. The mine in particular comes to mind.
Everything after you got that ridiculous sword combination. Literally everything.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my delete daggers.
Oh my god, those daggers were insane. Paine got orange daggers, and I don't know how you got orange daggers, but you got orange daggers.
Because we killed Oren.
We killed her and I took them.
What were the perks on them?
Oh, I can't remember now, but I know that a few of the fights, I would just go to attack somebody and just kill them with one shot.
In the late game.
Because that's the thing, rogues, especially the kind of rogue that Paine was playing, because I think you were an assassination rogue, are built around sneaking in, getting one good hit, and just deleting people with that one hit. And then these daggers, I can't remember what the exact ability was, but it was something along the lines of if an attack hit above a certain threshold, it just instantly killed them.
So
that was it.
It's you had improved critical, which was you had
crits on a 1920.
Yeah, so that's already pretty good. You had exploit weaknesses, which was creatures hit with the bloodthirst is the name of the weapon. Creatures hit with bloodthirst receive vulnerabilities to piercing damage, so everyone else can just stack piercing on top of them. And piercing is a really common damage type. And then lastly,
vulnerability doubles the damage.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you also gained access to True Strike as a cantrip.
And I already had modifiers on my armor as well as abilities, so yeah, it was just deleting people out of the game.
Because you could just cast like invisibility just mid-fight and just go and sneak up on someone else and just rinse and repeat.
It was incredible time. So that's our characters. Gonna go on to some favorites and some memorable stuff. Just to, because like I said, there's a lot in this game, so we need to try and get through some of it. So, easy first question: favorite companion?
I mean, Joey. I can probably guess Joey's.
I think I can guess Joey's.
No,
I think he may have changed his mind during the game. It can't be.
Thank you, Paine, for paying attention to my love life.
Who's yours then, Joey?
I don't. Who's the devil woman that Will fucking hated?
Harlak.
No,
no. The other one.
Mizora.
She's my favorite because she hates Will and Will hates her.
Yeah, she's not.
I had sex with her on a first date and Will got really mad at me.
So this, for context, if anyone didn't tune into the stream, which I know a lot of people may not have done, I tried to romance Will from the start, and the boy led me on and on and on, and he kept smooching and he kept smooching. Did he smash? Did he fuck?
It's like a Vegas slot machine. He's not putting out.
Exactly.
He broke up with you and then demanded a dance as well, just to hammer home the insult.
Yeah, I'd repressed that, but thanks, Paine. That really
You're
brought
welcome.
everything home to me.
For my favorite, I would normally say Karlach because hot tiefling. But I think my favorite NPC companion has to be Astarion, and I know that's like the most beige answer, but just some of his voice, like Neil Newbon's voice work as Astarion is incredible. Like everyone does a great job with this game, but Neil Newbon in particular is a real highlight as Astarion. Just had some great moments, just funny moments in the camp that really stuck out to me. Like when we went to go and defeat what was the guy in the temple who was torturing him, and we killed him without him there.
Cazador.
Cazador, thank you. When we killed him, he went into a proper old hissy fit about it being like, it was mine. That was mine to do. I think it's best we part ways. And then we basically ate dinner and came back, and he was like, "Oh, you good? You good?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." He was just hangry. I get it. Other players may not have that same experience.
That's funny.
Alex?
I like Karlach just because the amount of swearing that comes out of Karlach's mouth compared to everyone else, it's just great. Obviously, like you say, Astarion's an incredible character to play with as well. He's just so fun to have in your party.
Paine, who was yours?
I think you probably expect me to say Astarion, but I would actually say Karlach. I think her story of just being... Well, Astarion's was a sad story because he'd been tortured before and he wanted revenge. The fact that Karlach couldn't even just touch a person and just wanted a hug, I thought was so sweet. And I was so happy that in our playthrough, although we couldn't finish her storyline due to being 4-player, which I'm sure we'll get onto later, the fact she got to have her hug at the end gave me the fuzzies.
Who hugged her?
I did.
Nice.
I'm a tiefling, and I tried to bang her, and I'm probably the only person in the party who could, and she still refused me.
Yeah, friend zoned you, mate.
That's a reflection on you, not Karlach, Tim.
This is so. When you're about to complete Act 1, you have this big party at the camp with all the lovely people that you've met along the way, and I was just like, right, I'm gonna go get laid. And no one was putting out, not a soul. And then Joey tried it, and Will gave him a little smooch, and Joey was that was the moment he knew.
So
And then the
let's
bastard got rid of me.
let's quickly go on to what Paine was saying briefly there. Every companion in this game has a storyline. They have a hope, they have a dream, they have a goal, and if you take them as your companions, or as long as you report back to them, you progress their storyline. So things like Karlach's storyline is fixing the infernal engine so she doesn't combust. Astarion is killing Cazador, his slave master, for lack of a better term. Lae'zel wants to become the chosen of her particular god, but then realizes her particular god is actually a bit of a bell end. They've all got these fleshed out stories that you can run through with them. And it's great, but as Paine mentioned, because we were playing as a 4-party, we couldn't take any of them with us. And there are certain story triggers in some of them that require you to have that companion there with you. So we couldn't finish. Sorry, go on.
This is my biggest gripe with the game, and it's quite a small one, really, considering the amount of content. But there was no kind of consideration that there was 4 of us. And the Karlach story is what really stands out to me here when we were in Act 3, and there was someone that we were meant to take Karlach to so they could have some kind of interaction. But because there was 4 of us and we wanted to consistently play as 4, we were completely locked out of that, which would have been fine if that quest marker didn't ever appear to us because we were a 4. But because it was there, it made us all feel like we'd missed out on something that we maybe should have done.
The one that comes to mind for me is when we were in the Temple of Baal, and we're skipping along, singing our merry songs, and suddenly Lae'zel laid out on a table, and she's having
her eyes poked out.
She's going to Specsavers.
So not responsible could be.
Not responsible could be.
Should be given that we all wear glasses.
to use a Mortal Kombat term, she's getting Kenshi'd in that, her eyes are being forcefully removed and she's dead. And we didn't have any, I'm not going to say warning for it. Granted, we didn't get any warning for it, but it would have been nice for there to have been at least some sort of cutscene, maybe at the camp being like, hey, Lazella's gone missing or whatever.
Hey, I hope she doesn't mind not being able to see or breathe anymore.
I've heard her favourite sense is sight.
Any favourite quotes? Because this game is full of voice acting.
Tim just said mine. It's the first time you see Astarion, and his voice line delivery of "Shit" was fantastic.
Shit. No, it's not what it looks like. I swear.
There's also in front of. Go on.
I also like the first time you see Gale, and he's a hand out the wall, and he goes, "Someone give me a hand here."
A hand? Anyone?
You can high five him.
When Astarion's going on about Halcyon and he just goes, enjoying the freedom of nature's gifts.
I guessed. The man can't stay quiet about enjoying the freedom of nature's gifts. I bet he'd outlaw clothing if he could.
Astarion doing an impression of Halcyon is amazing. Favorite quotes. There's the problem is we didn't see a lot of them because of the fact we were a party of 4. No, but
TikTok is full of them.
There was a point, and I guess this is a spoiler for Astarion's story, if you're playing it like single player. There's a point where Astarion can be hit by essentially a sun laser as a part of the story that you cause. And he talks about how he is a vampire and he was probably the least suited person for it. And you can bring him back to life at the camp and he was just like, what the fuck are you doing? You could just be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think to put you there. I didn't think you'd be that hot. And it's like, there's a difference between, an average warm summer day and the concentrated power of the sun.
What in the sweet hells were you thinking? Activating that lance? I was right there! Gods! Do you have any idea how much that hurt?
Well, apparently there's a limit. Somewhere between a nice summer's day
And the full concentrated power of the sun!
Next time, just warn me before you do something stupid. At least then I can get out of the blast radius. Now, shall we go? Or do you have any other chaos you need to unleash here?
And then he just kind of brushes it off like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I
love you, Astarion.
There's one when you're in the spider cave in Act 1, and you have an I don't know why it's an option, but you have an option to lick the spider.
Yeah.
Gale takes big offense to it.
If you've got Gale in your party, he goes, you just the most deadpan delivery I've ever heard in the game. He just goes, you licked a dead spider. Dead spider. You licked it. That's something that happened. And then you have an option to lick it again. And he just gets really mad and goes, stop licking the damn thing.
You licked a dead spider. Dead spider. You licked it. That is something that happened. I think we need to get you some air and perhaps have a long talk about unresolved childhood issues. Stop licking the damn thing!
What about Paine, Joey?
Shit. I mean, I've said it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember the exact words, but I know when I ended up in a room with a prostitute and I had an option to choose what kind of sex I had with this prostitute and chose vanilla, he was
so
like,
funny.
oh, vanilla sex with the lights off? That's so filthy.
Oh, you filthy thing. You have surprised me. Most people come in here with, let me stuff all of your hair into my favorite orifice, or I can't come unless you use your deep gnome voice. I'm numbed to all the depravities I conduct on a daily basis, but boring sex? That's a new fetish entirely. We mustn't waste a moment of this mundane night.
You engage in a tepid night of the most memorable, unremarkable sex. The drow seems to have the time of his life.
That was such a strange encounter.
There's another great one where further down the line you can have Minthara as one of your companions, and if you've got the when you're wandering around the world, the companions will have interactions with each other where they'll sass each other or ask questions. And there's one where Minthara says to Gale, if they're in a party together, she goes, in Menzoberranzan, which is the Drow capital city, she goes, after our house has 2 sons, every subsequent male born is slaughtered at birth, as it is useless, even for breeding. You have the aura of a 3rd child about you. It's just the most dagger through the heart insult I've ever heard.
Do you have elder siblings, wizard?
You're about to say something awful, aren't you?
In Menzoberranzan, after a house has 2 sons, every subsequent male-born child is slaughtered at birth, as it is useless, even for breeding. You have the aura of a 3rd child about you.
It's funny.
The other one I liked, I can't remember exact quotes, but we were in the Underdark and we came across this race of what was basically mushroom people, and these 3, Joey, Alex, Paine, are off talking to the mushroom people leader, and I find someone who's just like, that leader's a bit of a shit, isn't he? Can you, like, what say you we commit some espionage? But that whole quest eventually turned into us not committing the espionage, killing the guy who proposed the espionage, but then someone in the mushroom village saw that we had killed the guy who proposed the espionage, thus turning everyone, including the leader, on us. He won, that guy. His objective was met.
Second to last question. Any moments that have really stuck with you, be it boss battles, interactions, any...
Punting a squirrel.
Yeah, punting a squirrel's a really good one.
That was the first thing I ever saw on Baldur's Gate 3, and I was like, I have to do this. And for those of you who don't know, a squirrel bites your foot in Act 1, very close to the start, and you have the option to be peaceful and leave it, or punt it against a tree.
But you do a strength check.
The latter. Yeah, you do a strength check, and I failed it the first time, so I used my inspiration to roll again. And only then did I manage to punt it against the tree.
Favorite? So I'm trying to think of other stuff that happened. In the same area, the grove that Joey's on about, there is this tiefling bard, and she is playing her lute pretty awfully and singing the song awfully. And I decided, did I do this in my single player or was this in the multiplayer? You have the option to go over there and be a complete dickhead to her and just be like, you're killing that lute, let me take a look at it. And then you just smash it in front of her, and it turns out to be her dead music teacher's lute, and she was trying to finish the song he was writing.
Just proper dick move.
Just stuff like that, and then just, we'll be fannying around with NPCs, and then we'll hear Joey in the back going, "What's a harpy?" And then we'll be in combat.
The famous one was to ask if anybody had any healing potions, and we would be like, "Why?"
No comment. Don't worry about it. One of my favorite quotes for the whole time was Tim. Every time he said, "I have a plan," and then never explained the plan.
Normally executing on the plan, though.
Well, sometimes. Other times you're dying.
Yeah, other times I'm flung into a waterfall, never to be seen again.
I really enjoyed. This game does a lot of boss battles quite well, but there is no boss battle that is better than the fight against Raphael in the House of Hope.
Oh, that is.
Although by that time we had broken the game and we were just pinning people into.
We were,
area
which is great. But
oh god, do you remember the Balthazar fight?
Oh yeah, we killed him in 2 turns.
Yeah, Balthazar was really bigged up to be this guy. Was he a follower of Baal?
No, he was a follower of Merkel. He was one of Catherick's guys.
So
he was Angela Merkel's.
He was Angela Merkel's son. But really bigged up to be this big tough dude. and we basically just Joey cast thorns on the ground to cause damage with each movement and slowing. I did Hunger of Hadar, so they took damage at the beginning and end of their turn, and they were blind. Paine, I don't remember what you were doing in that.
I think I did Thorn of what's it?
Cloud of Daggers.
Spinning Daggers.
Cloud of Daggers, and
Cloud
then
Daggers,
Alex.
that's the one.
And then Alex was just hitting, like, just jumping in there because he's a cleric and just smacking them with like lightning axes and stuff.
I had the what's it called? Spirit Guardians. It's an AoE centered around me, and any creature that ends its turn in my aura took like 3d8 radiant damage or something crazy like that.
Quite a lot.
Against all these undead people was quite good.
I loved area denial in this game. So funny. Do you remember there was that one fight that we had in the Temple of Baal where we came across that room full of bunk beds and a bunch of people in it? So I just cast Wall of Fire through the door, and we just basically stood on the other side of the door, just throwing things in,
just waiting for them to barbecue. Easy game.
Game's easy, mate.
Last question for you all, and this is going to be a bit of a throwback to remember. How do you feel now that it's over?
Actually, quite sad that it ended.
I was too. It ruined my day, and it ruined it twice because we thought it was going to end at one point, and then we had a whole 2 big fights left that we decided to save for another stream. So the first day I spent ruining my day, thinking purely about the stream we were going to do later, and then it happened again the week after. So sad it was over.
Really want to play it again.
Yeah, big time.
I think this is always the problem, though, when you finish a big story-rich game like this, is you sort of... It's like when you finish a TV series, you feel a bit empty for a bit, don't you? It's a bit sort of like, oh, well, now what do I do with my life?
I think my TikTok knows because it keeps recommending games, like show me gameplay of things like Baldur's Gate. Solstice 2 is the latest one that looks really good. But it's like, did you love Baldur's Gate? You should try this. And it's like, oh, none of it will be as good as Baldur's Gate. But that one does look quite good.
For the record, I would be down to go through Divinity or another run through of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Just do it. Do something completely different in our class and race stats and everything.
We'll absolutely plan something like that for the future.
Dark Urge Run.
Dark Urge Run. That was your first experience of the game, wasn't it, Joey? You'd somehow managed to get on a Dark Urge run from day dot.
Yeah, I accidentally managed to become a total bastard. Alex, what about you?
And then he played Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then the next 30 years happened, and here I am. Alex, what about you? When it ended, how did you feel?
Yeah, no, sort of very similar, sort of like that sort of feeling that there's now a void in my brain that was Baldur's Gate. I was relieved to finish it because, as I say, I'd started it a couple of times solo play, but never got to the end, so it was nice to see the ending, but I was just a little bit sad when we finished it. But it has spawned a very good thing for us of a constant Thursday stream, so goods and bads, really.
For Thursday.
I still have it installed if anyone is interested in doing more.
I don't.
Right. So, we did initial thoughts at the front. It's time for the really important part, and we're going to start with Paine on this. Scores. Now, Paine, we do it out of 10.
Out of 37.
Yeah. I gave it an 8 out of 10 because I had some criticisms with it.
Go on, what are your criticisms?
The main one was the fact that because we played in 4-player mode, we couldn't complete the companion storylines, and it just seemed like a massive oversight. You get a stage in the game where companions had just disappeared, and we didn't know why because there was no cutscene, and I feel like that should have been programmed in, even just to say this companion has left. We didn't get a notification they'd left; they were just gone. We didn't know why. So who knows what happened to Gale? Act 3 was very buggy when we played it, and it was making it a bit hard to enjoy playing it at the time, because I remember we had to load a couple of previous saves, and we did lose some progress. We had that big fight because we were locked into a fight.
I know what happened to Gale, to answer your question.
Yeah, we beat the shit out of his friend and he ran off.
Not his friend, his master, his teacher. It was Elminster that harmless hobo or whatever he was called on the hill, the stranger that Joey and Tim just went, nah, fuck him up.
Excuse you, I was nowhere near him when it started.
To be fair, I think that was me. I said, I don't trust this guy. How does he know Gale? And I initiated that.
Turns out that was his master.
It did out as that.
Joey?
I would give this a 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Paine's criticisms are valid. Act 3 is buggy, but I have to tell you, I think Act 3 is better than Act 2.
Yeah.
I think Act 2 was filler, but also the thing I really hated about it was because it's all shrouded in darkness, and if you go into the darkness, you start to die. We all had to stay within a very, very, very tight radius of each other, and without a follow button, that became an absolute chore for the amount of time we needed to do it. Now, there is ways that you can stop needing to do that, but it involves killing the enormous Spider-Man at the start, which he was so big and scary that none of us wanted to do. It wouldn't have stopped us later in the playthrough, but I think a 9. I think overall it is one of my favourite games I think I've ever played. It's not without its flaws, but I think if you get a chance to play it, even if you're not a D&D fan, hop on with people that know you'll if you play games a lot, you'll know someone who'll want to play with you, and you should give it a go.
Tim?
I'm also going to go with a 9. I mean, to echo what Paine and Joey have said, yes, Act 3 has its technical errors, and I feel like that is something that could be addressed. I would like to see, purely on a selfish level, I would like to see some sort of performance improvement on Steam Deck as well. However, so selfish. But I can't deny how much of like an impact this game had on really us as a group when it got to the point where we were like, yes, it's Thursday, yes, we're going to play the shit out of Baldur's Gate for like 4 hours tonight, and then be a little bit sad when it was over, and then only for it to come around next week and be like, yes, more Baldur's Gate. Just it was fun. I said at the beginning of the episode, it scratches a D&D itch, including the anticipation of the meetup at the party. It's just got it, you know.
It just gets it.
It's so true, bestie.
Stop with the bestie thing, for the love of God.
But yeah, 9 out of 10. To Joey's point on Act 2, where you have to stay within the proximity of a lamp throughout the, I would say, 2/3 of the act. I think that's probably not an issue in single player with the fact the party auto follow, but as is kind of a bit of a running theme, it feels like a couple of things were maybe overlooked when it came to the multiplayer. That being one of them.
But there's so much, to be fair. Like,
yes,
I think we're saying things get overlooked, and I understand it and agree with it, but there is so much that we probably didn't even consider that was thought about in great detail.
Yeah.
That it does balance it out.
Absolutely. And the points that we've made where we're like saying, oh, this could have been better. It's not like, hey, this was bad. It was, this could have been better in a sea of, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex?
It's gonna come. My score's gonna come as no surprise because it's D&D. It's turn-based games, both of which are things I love. And while yes, it has technical problems, it has oversights. There is so much in this game that is good that you can forgive them as long as it doesn't break your game. For me, it's a 10 out of 10. I don't think anyone's surprised to hear that. This is by far my favourite game that I've played in probably the last 10 or 15 years. It's everything I needed in a game, and to what Tim said, it scratched a D&D itch that wasn't getting scratched.
You pair are very itchy, is what I've got from this episode.
Well, Larian are a company that clearly give a shit about the product, and I've said this to Paine before when we've been discussing D&D patches of all things. It's that they recognize when things could be abused or exploited in the game, but they also recognize, hey, this is just someone taking advantage of a system that we've intentionally implemented. They strike a really careful balance of fun, but miles deep in terms of the creativity. And Larian, I think there's such a thorough studio in their thought process and their planning process. I don't know if you guys have seen the next Larian Studios game is estimated to come out about 2028 because they're just taking their time with it.
That follows their pattern on the Divinity series, because between each, barring one of the games in sort of the early 2000s, maybe the mid 2010s, their development cycle tends to be 3-4 years. Divinity Original Sin 2, which was their game before this. Bearing in mind this released in 2023, Divinity Original Sin 2 released in 2018, so that's about a 5-year development cycle just on Baldur's Gate, because they weren't doing anything else.
No. They only do one game at a time, and they take their time with it. I got big respect for it.
So it sounds like it's 4 recommends.
Nah.
No.
No, it's a shit game, yeah.
Nah.
And an average score of 9, which I think sounds about right.
Yeah.
Should have been a 10, but it sounds about right.
Shut up, Alex.
Well, that puts it on level with Thank Goodness You're Here, which I think is right.
Yes.
Now it's time to watch Joey and Tim scramble a little bit. Tim, what are we doing next week?
Great question. Alex, how was your day?
What are we recording late after this, Tim?
Do you want me to tell you, Tim?
Hang on.
Thanks, I hate it.
Is it Thanks I Hate It?
It is.
Next week we're doing mini motorways on Thanks I Hate It.
And then Joey, what's the next main line? Are we calling these main lines still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next main line?
The next main line is a fun one, which I've never played, but is, I think, considered a classic of the PlayStation 3 area. We're going to play Heavy Rain. You know all that thing about I said about hating just reading games?
This is that.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Excellent.
But we'd also have a video game movie club in between that as well.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've not decided what I'm going to decide here and now. We're going to do Assassin's Creed movie.
Oh God.
So look forward to that.
And what are you doing between now and next Monday, Paine?
I guess my usual stuff. Working, dossing about, listening to Tim podcasts through the floor.
Nice.
Appearing on streams depending on what we're doing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good. So join us for that, and join us in a few minutes where we're going to bring back an old classic. We're going to do a post amble.
Whee.
Paine, thank you very much for being here, and I'm sorry you had to go through all this with us.
No, it was. Do you know what? I really enjoyed playing with you guys, and it was nice to actually finish the game. Because I'd only ever played Act 1 beforehand, so it was good to actually play the game and be forced to let some decisions be made that I didn't want to be made, because now I have more reason to play it a second time myself.
Can I just clarify the way, Alex, you did that? You said in a few minutes we're going to go to the post amble. Paine, thank you for being here. As if you're not allowed, you are very much invited to the post amble as well.
Bye.
Well, I was going to also say goodbye to you two, but I wanted to say a special goodbye to the guest.
Fair enough.
Called Chivalry.
Dead, mate. Long time. Dead.
Right, see you in the post amble, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Me.
And now we're going to go to the quiz, which I've cut down because the recording is currently 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Woof.
We knew it was going to happen. Right.
Paine, do you have Divinity Original Sin?
Yeah, because I got a free copy.
No, Tim bought me the first one, but I'm sure it's on sale all the time.
Tim,
I'm sure I could get it.
Bugger. Okay, sorry for interrupting.
Quite all right. We're gonna do a quiz. I've not got a jingle for this quiz. The rules of the quiz is if you want to answer, you shout out your name. You will have a few seconds because I'm not having. Oh, Tim.
Why am I being called out?
Because that's your entire shtick. There's going to be five questions, 3 categories. Act 1. What is the name of the Mind Flayer ship that crashes?
Joey.
Joey.
Oh, that is called the Nautiloid.
Thank you, Ringo. It is called the Nautiloid. Question number 2. While on said Mind Flayer ship, who is the companion that's trapped in a pod? Joey.
Oh, fuck, her name's gone from it. Shadowheart.
There it is. And you can interrupt in the middle of the question.
As I did.
As Joey just did.
As we've established that rule now.
Yeah. Who is the leader of the Tiefling refugees?
Tim. Zevlor.
It is Zevlor. We like Zevlor.
We do like Zevlor. When
We
he
do.
fucking ousted us in the grove.
That's what we like him the best.
The last question for Act 1. No, it's not because I can't count. The second to last question for Act 1. What's the name of the dog?
Paine.
Paine.
Scratch.
It is. And we
Bloody
killed
hell,
him.
that was loud and Geordie. Fucking Paine.
Fucking
Oh my
Scratch.
god.
Last question for Act 1. You visit the Riverside Treehouse. Sorry, the Riverside Tea House. What's the name of the old lady who owns it?
Paine. Auntie Ethel.
It is Auntie Ethel, who
Yeah.
later becomes the Hag.
My favourite NPC.
Oh, hello, lovey.
Turn me into Liam McPoyle.
Was that meant to be the Hag? She has an Irish accent. I don't know where you went.
She was really Irish.
I didn't want to offend our Irish contingent. Act 2. Are you ready for this? This is where things get. This is where we start learning things. What is the name of the prison that the cultists of the Absolute are drawn to in the Shadow Cursed lands? Joey?
Prison.
No.
Rats.
It's also not rats. Tim, Paine?
Racking my brain, I can't think of it.
Me neither.
It's Moonrise Towers.
Oh, of course it is.
Because it does act as a prison. What is the night song? Joey?
Is that Angel Lady?
It is that angel lady.
I can't remember her name. I just
Dame
remember
Alien.
we
Dame
killed
Aelin.
Balthazar to
Alien.
No,
Yeah.
Aelin.
Dame Aelin, the undead Azamar.
That's what I said. That angel lady.
Harness, who carries the moon lantern we all wanted and leads you through the shadow cursed lands to Moonrise Tower, is part of an NPC race known as the Drider. But what is a Drider? Joey?
Half man, half spider. All bastard.
Correct on all counts, almost.
I was going to say a dried up spider.
I thought it was the thing you put your laundry in when it's done in the washing machine.
What? I didn't hear what you said. All I got was something about the washing machine.
It's where you put your laundry in after you're done with the washing machine, the Drider.
You're a dickhead.
What he actually is a centaur-like creature who has the lower half of a spider and has the upper half of a drow, hence the name Drider, rather than Hydra. Drows be Joey gets the point, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
The drow being a race that come from the Underdark and has other famous companions such as Minthara, and that's about it for the drow in this game. I might have already given this away in the last question, but what is the name of the light source that you have to carry to avoid the shadow curse?
Paine. Moon lantern.
Paine. Moon lantern. It is a moon lantern, and you only get one of them.
That's
the last question.
Not moon lanterns.
Last question in Act 2. Who is it that wishes for you to lift the shadow curse as he feels personally responsible for it happening? Joey.
Gale?
It's not Gale.
Damn.
You're out. Paine, Tim?
Oh, it's...
Halsin.
It is Halsin.
Oh.
The big old druid companion feels personally responsible for what happened in the Cursed Lands.
I don't want to offend Alex, but that felt like a filler round.
It did, because it was a filler act. Act 3. There was a lot of questions I could have asked here. Question 1. Who's the powerful vampire lord that Astarion is trying to kill?
Tim.
Joey.
Tim?
Cazador.
Cazador, yep. Do you remember his last name?
Mazador.
McVampire.
McVampire. Cazador Czar. That's an Szarr.
That's the Russian one. Oh no, Russian's Czar, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a Czar. A Czar, yeah.
Czar, dude.
This one, there are 2 answers, and I'll take either of them. What is Orin's title? She has a title name, and she has a title.
Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Orin.
She is not Miss Orin.
Tim. Mrs. Orin.
She's not a Mrs. Orin either.
Paine, guess Ms, please.
Or Doctor.
Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Orin.
She's not Dr. Orin. She is Orin the Red, or the Chosen of Baal.
Orange.
That would have been a better name, wouldn't it?
Do you think she was Orin the Orange at one point?
Maybe, and she just got really angry. What is the name of the giant constructs that protect Baldur's Gate?
Joey.
The
Steel Watch?
Yeah, it is the Steel
Watch. Thank you.
We're on the second to last question.
Has anyone been keeping score?
No.
Yeah, me.
Oh.
Okay, good.
As Quizmaster, I'm also Scoremaster, apparently.
Nice.
We meet an old friend of the Emperor beneath Wormrock Prison. This friend is called Ansur. What is he?
Joey.
He's
a big old dead dragon bone bastard.
He's a big old dead dragonborn bastard indeed, and a very difficult fight. It was a good fight. It was hard, though. The last question. 6 months after the final battle of Baldur's Gate, we are invited to a party for all our companions, and we are given a toast to our successors and a warning that we may once again be called to action. Who organised this party?
Joey.
Him got it.
Well,
But he
no,
didn't
Joey's
say my
about
name.
to get it, so...
Yeah,
Go on,
I didn't know
Joey.
my name.
Withers, the Smithers.
Smithers with his old big naturals, yeah.
It's Withers and his giant naturals.
And at the end of that, in last place, Tim.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And following just behind him is Paine.
Not last place, though.
And Joey is our winner, considering he can't read. That is an impressive feat for remembering all that information. This quiz was originally 30 questions long, but I started editing it when I saw the runtime. But that's Baldur's Gate. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Wow.